Hello, my name is Natalie Nguyen. I work at the UNF LGBT Resource Center, and we are filming here at the University of North Florida. UNF is one of only 2 college campuses in the entire state of Florida that has an on-campus lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender resource center. We are also ahead of the curve in the sense that this coming academic year, 2011-2012, we will have, the first time ever, a director of LGBT Services. And that's definitely ahead of the mark right there, because the other university that has an on-campus LGBT resource center is University of Florida, and they only have an assistant director. Some of the things that we accomplish include speaking in classrooms about our experiences of coming out and acceptance, whether or not we were bullied or harassed, to having programs every other week. They alternate between Tuesdays and Wednesdays to accommodate student schedules, where we talk about different intersections of identity and LGBT identity, such as if you're a person of faith and how do you deal with that, as well as being LGBT, or if somebody who is transgender, what are the health issues that they have to navigate. So we do that program that's called Living with Pride every other week, and then we speak in classrooms, and we also do a 1 week long program in the fall and the spring. In the fall we do Coming Out Week to commemorate National Coming Out Day in October. And then we do another week-long program in January called LGBTQ Awareness Days. The Q stands for queer. And those awareness days is when we do our signature Gay Fine by Me t-shirt campaign, where we hand out t-shirts. I'm very proud to announce that next year, for the first time ever, we will be handing out 1,000 t-shirts. In years past, we've always handed out 500, and I applied for funding so that some funding could match the same amount, and so we're getting another 500, so therefore 1,000 t-shirts. And everybody loves the Gay Farm and Me t-shirt campaign. We always run out of t-shirts. Students want them, faculty want them, staff want them, and it's so great to see everybody wearing the same color. It says Gay Fine by Me, and it shows that there are other people out there who are like, hey, this is, just live your own life, be happy, and I'm here as an ally. Other people, don't realize that how much privilege some people have, whether you're white or heterosexual or of upper middle class. Some of the things that are going on within the LGBT community here in Jacksonville, Florida, is that currently the city's human rights ordinance does not include protections as far as employment, access, and service for those who are of different sexual orientation or gender identity and expression. So what that means is, dressed as nice as I am, as professionally as I am dressed right now, I can go to a restaurant, a hotel, apply for a job, or apply for an apartment, and I can be denied. And that's still legal. So that's something that people in the Jacksonville community are still working on, because it's not about marriage, it's not about adoption, it's about being able to live and to work here in this city, and to contribute back to this community. The other thing that's been going on is within our 5-year strategic plan with the UNF LGBT Resource Center, we plan to have more inclusion and equality for those who are transgender. And because transgender people are starting to get more of the brunt of it. More and more people are becoming accepting of lesbians and gays and bisexual people, but really transgender people are most often misunderstood and feared because nobody can tell, everybody wants to know what exactly is going on biologically. What organs do you have and what do you not have? So that's an issue that is always coming up. Even those who are what I consider non-gender conforming, like myself, I'm very masculine in expression, but I'm still biologically female. I like to push boundaries. I like to explore and really ask the question, why does everything have to be one or the other? Why can't we just all be humans? So that's something that it's always a dialogue and a debate, and it's always up for discussion. Other things that we're doing, so we're going to hire a director. We have a lot of students who come into our resource center. We're located in the student union right by the game room, and we've almost doubled the amount of students who come into the center from this time compared to last year. There was one day, actually in the month of August, during the first month of August, we almost tripled the number of students in August the year before compared to this year. So a lot more students are aware, they're aware of the space, and that space is there so that people feel safe and that they can be themselves. They can, hold the hands of their boyfriend or their girlfriend that they're seeing at that time, and also that nobody's going to judge them or nobody's called them names or anything like that. So we're getting a lot more students coming in, even students who are not LGBT. We have a lot of straight allies that come in who just really love the atmosphere and love really hanging out with us and coming to our programs and that sort of thing. The other thing that I'm working on next year for the first time ever, about a month ago, I helped the UNF Fraternity and Sorority Life with a award ceremony. I helped judge a few categories as far as best fraternity, best fraternity brother of the year, and most improved fraternity, most improved sorority, and that sort of thing. And I'd never been involved in that before. I never did anything Greek when I was a student, so I never understood it. But as I was sitting there with the award ceremony, I started thinking about how often fraternities and sororities get involved on campus and in the community, and I thought, why can't we bridge the gap? And so I approached the director of Fraternity and Sorority Life here, and we're going to come up with the first ever, as far as I know, it's not been created anywhere in any other school, a LGBT diversity award for Fraternity and Sorority Life, where they're going to be doing things as far as at least participating in one event each semester, major event, and also participating in safe space training, which is another thing that we do. We do safe space training for our faculty and staff. So that way they can become a safe chapter. And then the last part is that they will come up with their own creative way to show that they are accepting or that they're willing to educate others and promote acceptance, not so much as tolerance. And it could be anything creative, such as It Gets Better video, to creating a banner, to whatever, a banner that says such and such chapter is supportive of all people, including LGBT people, whatever it may be. So I'll be working on that all over the summer with the Fraternity and Sorority Life and creating that. I've already put the word out there asking if anybody else has done it. See if we could copy their model. Nobody's done it. So I got my work cut out for me. We have a Lavender graduation. That's one of our other programs. Lavender graduation is to honor and recognize LGBT students who have completed their college careers. The Consortium for Higher Education and LGBT Professionals has talked about how, and other studies have been done about other racial and ethnic minorities, about how if you don't feel accepted on your campus, if you feel like you're constantly harassed or biased towards, there's less of a chance that the person will complete their college education. So the Lavender graduation was created by a former UNF graduate who then took it to all the other universities as well, and that is to commemorate and honor LGBT and ally students who not only worked for LGBT equality, but also identify as LGBT or stood up for others and that sort of thing, and to honor them that, hey, you made it. So we did a Lavender graduation every spring, and that's to recognize those who graduated last fall, who graduate this spring, or even this summer. Right. So L is for the lesbian, G is for gay, bisexual, B is for bisexual, T is for transgender, and Q can be interchanged with either queer or questioning. It's important to note that queer is starting to become more of an accepting term. 40 years ago it was not considered an accepting term, but again, it also depends on context. If somebody were to yell at me, hey, you queer, I would probably take it offensively, as opposed to saying, I identify as queer. The reason why queer is becoming more of an accepting term and is actually being used more often than the L, G, B, or T is that people already have an idea or stigmatization of each letter. So for somebody to call me a lesbian, that doesn't really fit me, because when I think of lesbian, I think of someone who looks like a woman, who acts like a woman, who is attracted to other women, but I don't look like a woman. I am attracted to women, but I don't look like a woman. And gender-wise, I don't identify as a woman. I identify as queer as far as my gender identity as well. So queer is this nice umbrella term where nobody really pegs me exactly into a hole. Other things would be when you hear somebody, a gay man, express himself that he's gay. Automatically people will maybe assume that he's very fashionable, very flamboyant, very meticulous, and very neat, all these things, when in fact he may not be those things at all. So instead, if he were to say queer, it leaves it up to that big umbrella category, and then people don't really peg him into that gay category. So queer is an all-encompassing term. Another letter that's starting to come up in some other resource centers out west or in the northeast are, another letter would be I for intersex, and that is somebody who is born with ambiguous genitalia or chromosomes that do not match the genitalia. And it's estimated a little over 1 in 2,000 live births are born, people are born intersex. So that's another letter that's being added as well. Which is why, having queer is nice in that you don't have to spell out the whole acronym. You could just say queer and be done with it. And again, the interesting thing, when we, last fall, for the first time ever, we did a collaboration with the ASL department of bringing a documentary by a transgender man, someone who is born female but transitioned to male, who is also deaf. And so we brought that documentary, and it was really great to see that collaboration and seeing the two communities come together, especially those who are transgender, because a lot of times transgender people, for them to come out is very much a safety issue, where they're fearful of physical harassment or verbal, being verbally accosted and that sort of thing. So not only did we bring the documentary, but we also brought Austin, the guy that's featured in the documentary, and Liza, who's also the producer of the documentary. And so that was a really great thing, because normally we only do one small program for Transgender Day of Remembrance, and then we do that in November to commemorate transgender people who were murdered, and or the cases are still unsolved. So a lot of times. So we usually do that, and then to have that, but follow that with a documentary that was more uplifting, was definitely new and something that we really liked, and maybe repeat sometime in the future. Well, it's important to note that one of the other things that the LGBT Resource Center does is that we train faculty and staff on how to create a safe space. When they go through the training and they agree to become an ally and to display the safe space sticker, this opens up the atmosphere, so that way not only does it tell students that, hey, I'm friendly, I'm not going to judge you, I'm not going to be biased towards you. It also sends a message to coworkers that they are accepting as well. If a young person is struggling with identity or struggling with acceptance, they are least likely to come into my office. To come in through a door that says LGBT above it is very intimidating. And so it's a lot easier for a young person to go to a counselor or faculty member that they feel safe with, that they already know, that they know wouldn't gossip about them or anything like that, when they see that sticker. So creating that safe space is really talking about having a dialogue of privileges, and when getting that dialogue around, if you've never been discriminated against based on your relationship status, or you've never had anybody ask you to take the pictures of your partner away from your desk. So really opening people's eyes and realizing, okay, this is definitely an issue, and creating that safe space again is being non-judgmental and being accepting and learning the basic terminology and that sort of thing. It's a double-edged sword. On one side, you have more and more people coming out, it's becoming more visible, but then on the other side, you have more and more people coming out against homosexuality or those who are transitioning. It's important to note that is not just saying, hey, I know you're gay and I accept you. It's also saying legislatively that this is wrong and this is still discrimination. One of the things that people fail to realize is that when somebody passes something such as marriage, saying marriage is only between one man and one woman, you're systematically saying anything outside of this cannot happen here in this city or the state or whatever. The other thing is a lot of times schools, which I know this is very tricky, schools have abstinence-only education, but a lot of times abstinence-only is heterosexual only. And abstinence says, you can't have sex until you get married. Well, if the state bans gay marriage, then you can either leave or just not live your life here. And so that's another thing. And, a lot of times it's also just not acknowledging it because so before, decades ago, it used to be that instructors would let bullying happen, or they would just say, well, just don't act so gay, they won't hit you. So, stuff like that, systematic things like that. Even stuff such as paperwork. If I go get my annual exam or whatever, a lot of times they keep asking me, what form of birth control do you use? It's like, well, I don't need birth control. I clearly am not in risk of that. Things like that. So it gets very, very difficult. Other things would be, navigating issues such as insurance. Here, it's very difficult in that we got the runaround. The University of North Florida got the runaround as far as adding domestic partnership to insurance benefits. We asked the insurance company, can we please have same-sex benefits? The insurance company said, sure, but you have to prove that you have at least 50 same-sex couples. And two things. One, it's very nerve-wracking for a faculty or staff member to voluntarily come up and say, yes, I'm in a same-sex relationship, please don't fire me, or be biased towards me, don't see me any differently. And two, we're not going to ask every single person, hey, are you in a same-sex relationship? So the compromise we came up with was that anybody who is in a same-sex relationship, a domestic partnership, say I have a girlfriend and I want to put her on my benefits plan, they would give me a pre-tax stipend to help pay for her insurance, which is great. But then the runaround is that it's pre-tax, so come tax time, I get dinged on that because they think it's additional income. So it's systematic things like that. My name is Natalie Wynn. I'm at the University of North Florida here in Jacksonville, Florida, speaking about lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender issues. And today's date is April 16th, 2012.